Hello, everyone, and welcome to Opportunistic Bets with your boy Sam Mendelson. You can follow all my picks for this NFL season and the NFL wild card that's approaching at my Twitter handle, Mendy_Island. But what a Week 18. Now, we didn't know what Week 18 was going to be like, folks. It was an extra week at it. It was the longest season of the year. And boy, oh boy, talk about the drama. The Indianapolis Colts win against Jacksonville and they're in, and they get killed. I had the Colts minus 13.5. They lost by 15 points on the road against the worst team in the league. Just preposterous. Then Pittsburgh against Baltimore in Pittsburgh. Everyone's thinking it's Big Ben's last game. They somehow sneak away with a win in overtime. And then it came down to the Sunday night game, the Chargers versus the Raiders. If both teams tied, both teams were going to be in. And for Pittsburgh, they're just saying, hopefully someone just wins straight up. And for a large part of the game, it was all the Raiders. And then all of a sudden, Justin Herbert had this magical 19-play drive to end the fourth quarter, capping it off with a touchdown to Mike Williams. And boy, oh boy, were we headed for more drama as they went to overtime. The Raiders started with the ball. They came down, kicked a field goal. The Chargers did the same. And there was about 4 minutes left. And everyone in the stadium was just saying, play for the tie. You're both going to get in. Play for the time. And for some reason, Brandon Staley called a timeout with 35 seconds left, 36 seconds, whatever it was. Even Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels were shaking their heads. And then Daniel Carlson hit a game-winning overtime field goal to knock out the Chargers, put the Raiders into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. And that was a year where Derek Carr got them there, but broke his ankle, so he was not able to play. So he's going to get his first crack into the playoffs. Oh yeah, let's also look at the NFC and what happened there. The Saints had to win and hope that the 49ers lost. The Saints took care of business. So they had a chance to get in, and they were just waiting to see what happens with the 49ers, who were down 17-0 on the road to the Rams. And they came back, the 49ers, to win 27-24 in overtime. And the Rams moved down to the 4 seed. They will now be playing Arizona. Dallas moves up to the 3 seed. They're playing San Fran. Oh, my God, don't get me started. But let's get started with the picks for the first wild card week in this long, extended season. I mean, we're already January 12th, January 13th, and we're going to be talking about the first round of the playoffs. And the first game of the playoffs, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals. What a season it was for Joey B and Jamar Chase. They drafted Jamar Chase. They didn't pick up Penei Sewell. And they said, all right, we're going to go and score a lot of points. And boy, oh boy, did they do. Did they do that? Joey B, comeback player of the year. You got to put it up there with Dak Prescott. MVP. Don't think he's got the numbers, but I definitely think what he was able to do a year after replacing his ACL. I mean, Jamar Chase, he's my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't want to give it to Mac Jones, but you got the Raiders and you got the Bengals, the 4-5 matchup, opening wildcard weekend, and I'm taking... Oh. Hold on. Oh, sorry, we have a little technical difficulties here. And I had a graphic. Okay, so give me 1 second. You know what? Sometimes you get a problem with... Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Joey B taking the Bengals minus 5.5 at home. And a lot of people were able to get them at -6, -5. It's now down to... I got them at -5.5. And I love Joey Burrow in this game. Now, what's crazy about these 6 games is that 5 of the 6 games are rematches of games that took place this year. Week 11 in Las Vegas, the Bengals absolutely trounced Derek Carr and the Raiders. It wasn't a big day for Joey B. 20 for 29, 148, just 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase got that 1 touchdown on 3 receptions for 32 yards. But it was Joey Mixon. 30 rush attempts, 123 yards. He was absolutely incredible for the Bengals. And defensively, they were really rock solid. I mean, the Raiders, they had given up 2 sacks. Derek Carr got picked off 1 time. And you look at the play of Trey Hendrickson, who had a incredible year for the Bengals. 14 sacks, leading the team. This is a team that drafted Jamar Chase, and they also drafted their kicker, Evan McPherson, who was fantastic, making 28 of 33 field goals. He was really solid, and in that game against the Raiders, he hit 4 field goals. He was definitely important as he hit a field goal in the first, a field goal in the third, and these weren't just chip shots. He had 3 50-yard field goals and then one at the end for 47 yards. So 4 field goals, 3 of them for over 50 yards. Now they're playing in the jungle. Joey B hurt himself in week 17 against the Chiefs in that amazing, incredible game that, honestly, I was just fixed to watching that game. And I really think that the weapons of the Bengals at home, their first game. Now, a lot of people are going to say it's a rookie quarterback in his first game. It's Derek Carr's first game in the playoffs. Jaron Waller hasn't practiced in the first couple days of this week. They're coming off an emotional game at home. I just don't think they can replicate it. The Bengals got some rest last week as they didn't play Joey Burrow. They didn't play Joe Mixon. A lot of their guys only played maybe a quarter or so. And I think that's going to really help them. They're going to have their fans rocking. They're feeling it. They think they have something special here, and I think they have something special here as well. I'm taking the Bengals minus 5.5. But I'm not just doing spreads this week, folks. I'm doing over-unders. And if I can get this going, I'm taking the over in the Cincinnati Raiders game, which is right now. I'm sorry. This is what you get. You try to make You try to make some nice graphics, and then it turns out to be an issue. So I'm going to try this again. Let's see if I can get... Maybe it just takes a while. I don't know, folks, but I'm trying to get this out. There we go. Okay, maybe that's the best way to do it. I'm taking the over of 48. And as you can see, Joey Burrow, CJ Uzomah, Tyler Boyd. This is a team that's going to put up a lot of points against it. Look, 32-13. That's 45 points. That wouldn't have covered in their Week 11 matchup. But I think this can be different. I think Joey Burrow is going to light it up. He's had more experience, more time this year to really work with that offense. And Week 11, it was in Vegas. Maybe it was emotional. Maybe it was, just the crowd getting to them. But in the last few weeks, without counting Week 18, they put up 34 against the Chiefs, 41 against the Ravens, 15 in a tough win against the Broncos, and then 23 against the 49ers. So this is a team that's going to average around that 20 to 25 point range. I think they actually put up 30. I think, I think that's going to be 30-20 is going to be the score. I think the Raiders do get some points. I think the Bengals defense is okay. It's not the greatest, but I'm taking the Chiefs, and I'm taking the over of 48, and that is game number 1. Game number 2, we've got the Bills and we've got the Patriots. Part 3. Okay, this is definitely exciting. I'm going to get the Bills one here just for you. Give me one quick second. I had this all set up, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to make do with... Oh, there we go. Okay, Buffalo minus 2.5. I love the Bills in this one. Now, they're talking about, again, the weather being in single digits in Buffalo. It's going to be cold, but I think the Bills learned a lot from their first matchup against the Patriots. We saw what the carryover was in their second matchup in New England, where it wasn't a freezing cold, windy day, but they were able to put up 33 points in Foxborough, a very tough place to play in. They only put up 10 points in that 14-10 loss in Week 13, but they were able to get them. And this is a team that, over the span of, 7 weeks, they're going to be playing 3 times, so they're very familiar with themselves. Bill Belichick's going to see a lot of tape, and you know what? Josh Allen has not played well. If this was a bigger spread, I might have fallen with New England, but I think 2.5 points is where I got them. I think that I like Tyler Bass. I like that their defense has been playing really well. They didn't give up a lot in that loss, 14-10. I mean, if you remember, Mac Jones threw the ball, I believe, a total of 2 times. Yes, 2 times. Damian Harris ran for 111, and they're going to have to focus on stopping the run game. They focus on those run game, and they stop the Patriots, and they make them play 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 kind of drives. Mac Jones is going to make mistakes. I like the Bills. They're very opportunistic on defense. They got Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on defense. They got Trey Edmonds. So they've got a lot of playmakers on the defensive end. And offensively, look, Josh Allen in the last few weeks, he struggled. Both games at home. Against the Falcons, a 29-15 win, 11 for 26, 120 yards passing and 3 interceptions. Now, he did run 2 touchdowns for 81 yards, but throwing was not his strength. And then last week against the Jets, they did play everyone for most of the game because they wanted to get that home playoff game, whereas the Patriots were playing Miami at the time and they didn't know what was going to happen. Josh Allen, 24 for 45, missed 21 throws, only 239, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Again, ran for 63 yards. But the big thing here for Josh Allen and the Bills is their run game with Devin Singletary. If Singletary can get going, they can get a lot of things happening. And I'm taking the under 45. There we go. There's the graphic. Bills under 45. Don't overthink it, folks. This is not going to be a high-scoring game. 14-10 in the first one. The second one, 33-21. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's going to be one of those 21-13 games or 20-17. It's not going to be a lot of offense. I'm taking the Bills minus 2.5, and I'm taking the under. Moving on to the Sunday's games. There's 3 games Sunday, 2 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. First time ever in NFL history on Wildcard Weekend, we got a Monday night game. And the first game, we got the Buccaneers against the Eagles. Now, the Buccaneers against the Eagles the first time around was a very interesting game. It was a Thursday night game in Philadelphia, which Tom Brady much better home than he was on the road. But this was also way back in Week 6, 28-22. Now, the big thing here for the Buccaneers is that they're without Chris Godwin, who's out for the year, and they're out with Antonio Brown, who in that game had 9 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown. We all know what happened with Antonio Brown. I don't need to bring it up again. But what you do need to know is that Leonard Fournette is back. Levante David is back. Jim Bernard is back. They're going to use the tandem or the 3-headed beast of Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette mostly, and Gio Bernard as a way for Tom Brady to get the ball quickly. And let's not forget Rob Gronkowski. There's a reason why those two are so in sync. And Brady coming in Week 18, already being up a lot against Carolina and saying, hey, Rob, I want to get you that incentive. Let's get that one more catch. And they got him that extra $1 million for that 7th catch late in the 4th quarter. So Buccaneers minus 7. They're a better home team. Jalen Hurts, rookie head coach, a young quarterback. I just don't see all the pieces. I think defensively they're going to keep it close, but I think defensively for the Buccaneers they are going to get some turnovers. They're going to be opportunistic. They're going to put Brady in good positions. I think the Patriots will win by 10. And here's the thing. I'm taking the over 45.5. I think both teams are going to put up points. I think there are some problems in the secondary for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that the Eagles might be able to exploit. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, how healthy is Miles Sanders? Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball. Maybe he gets a couple touchdowns late as well. I think this is one of those games where, again, it's like a 30-20 type of game. Patriots will dominate for most of the game. Eagles will have moments where they'll keep it close. But ultimately, I'm going with the GOAT. He led the league in passing. Even without 2 of his top guys, he's going to find ways. He's got Mike Evans, old reliable. Rob Gronkowski, if he's not old reliable, he's old reliable. And I like the Buccaneers, and I'm taking the over 45.5. Now, here's the game where I am very, very emotionally attached to. The Cowboys. Now, I'm not doing a spread in this one. I'm taking Cowboys money line. There's my boy CeeDee Lamb. I've worn his jersey. I've got the hat on right now. This is a team, Dallas, right now, who probably did not want to face the San Francisco 49ers. It's the only matchup of the week where the teams have not faced in the season. So there's not a lot of tape. You can watch the tape on the season, but there's not a lot of tape from the games that they played because they didn't play against each other. The Cowboys are going to have to win at the line of scrimmage. There's a couple big things. Now, the spread for the Cowboys is -3, which is, you're saying, Sam, that's not a lot of points. I'll take the Cowboys if I think they're going to win. I think there's going to be a lot of San Fran fans. I think it's honestly going to come down to a Greg Zuerlein kick, which is just killing me. It's one of those games where I think it's going to be like 33-32 or 33-31. Cowboys win by a hair on a field goal, or Dak has to come down on the last drive, maybe even score a touchdown, as they'll be down, let's say, 26-20, 24 or something, or 31-28 or something like that. I think that the Dallas Cowboys here's where the Cowboys have a lot of success. They're playing up against a defense who's very good on the defensive line and has an amazing linebacker in Fred Warner. But their secondary is atrocious. The Cowboys have to use Cedric Wilson, my boy CeeDee Lamb, as you see right here, and of course Amari Cooper to really set the tone. They're going to be running the ball with Zeke. I don't think Zeke's going to have a great day. Dak Prescott's going to have to use his arm the whole season. It started in training camp. Can Dak throw with his shoulder? He's coming off the major injury. Can he be okay to do what he needs to do to get the Cowboys in a position to be successful? And he did that. He goes 12-5. They win the division. They've got a home playoff game. Now, you're going up against San Francisco 49ers. They've got Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk, and head coach Kyle Shanahan. Their Achilles heel, though, will be Jimmy Garoppolo. I mentioned the secondary is a problem. They run the ball well with Eli Mitchell or Deebo Samuel at 240 pounds running downhill. That is a problem. But I honestly think that Micah Parsons is going to be a huge factor. So I'm taking the over 50.5. Yes, I put Deebo Samuel there because there's going to be a lot of points. I think that it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think it's the game of the wild card week. And it's honestly going to come down to, can the Cowboys line, both offensively and defensively, set the tone? Defensively, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, Micah Parsons, if they can set the tone against an O-line that is not as good as it used to be, a little bit older, a little bit banged up, is Trent Williams going to play? I'm not sure, but these are things that I'm going to be looking for. And again, in the secondary, where the San Francisco 49ers have a big problem, they play a lot of man coverage. If the Cowboys wide receivers can win off the line of scrimmage, they will be successful. But Dak's going to have to throw for 300 plus yards. I'm taking him in FanDuel, DraftKings. I'm taking a lot of Dak Prescott in this game. He's going to have to throw the ball. If he's able to get some sort of a run game with Tony Pollard or Zeke, that is a huge benefit for the Cowboys. But it's going to be a very tough game at home against the 49ers. 50 years, I think, since the catch. I think that was, or 40 years. There's some sort of historical landmark. It just so happens Cowboys-49ers, a big rivalry in the 80s and 90s, now taking place in 2022. Let's go. Now time for a commercial.
12-Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
And we're back. So 6 games. I've already gone through the first 4. Let's go through the final 2. The Sunday night game, the NBC game that they chose, the Chiefs versus the Steelers. I can't believe I'm even saying that the Steelers are in the playoffs. They need so much to happen in the final few weeks. Big Ben, you think he's done, and they do it again. When they won in 2005, a lot of people wrote them out, and they came out, and Antoine Randall and Hines Ward, and they beat Seattle. They're going to be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the 2-7 matchup in the AFC Sunday night, and I'm taking Big Ben, not to win, but plus 14.5. Look, that's a lot of points to lay down against a Mike Tomlin team. And I know that earlier in the season in Arrowhead, actually not that early in the season, if I remember correctly. Let me just double check that for you folks. No, yeah, it was week 16. Chiefs dominated 36-10. And it was in Arrowhead. So, I mean, they're going back to where they played. But in a playoff game, everything is a little bit more focused. And since that 36-10, I mean, the Steelers have won 3 of their last 4. They beat the Titans right before the Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs handedly. But then they beat the Browns at home and they beat the Ravens on the road. Actually, here's a fun stat. Big Ben, in his 18 years, has never lost to the Cleveland Browns at home. Just a fun little stat there. But 14.5 points. Look, this is a team with TJ Watt, who is now the second player to finish with 22.5 sacks, tying Michael Strahan's record. This is a defense that's going to keep them in. Look, KC, offensively, they struggled against Denver. Tyreek Hill is battling some sort of ankle injury. I still will take Mahomes to win straight up. But if you're giving me two touchdowns plus, to cover on a playoff game, unless it's, again, I almost thought I was about to make an Indianapolis Colts Jacksonville Jaguars joke. You're giving me that kind of points. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, we know Big Ben is not going to do anything flashy. He's got Deontay Johnson. He's got, Ray McCloud. He's got Najee Harris, who got a little banged up, missed some of the game against Baltimore. Offensively, they're not going to be putting up a lot of points, but I don't think defensively that they're going to get outplayed as bad as they did offensively. I've got Mahomes putting up 28 points, but I think that it's going to be 28-17. I think Chris Boswell is an amazing kicker. I think the Penguins, I almost just said, the Steelers are going to get themselves in good positions to kick field goals, keep the game close, and I think the Chiefs are going to have to kick a lot of field goals as well. I think they get a couple touchdowns. Kelsey, I think, is definitely good for one. I think maybe one of those McCole Hardmans. They may even get a punt return. I think that's definitely a weakness for Mike Tomlin. But Mike Tomlin dancing in the dressing room in Baltimore, just feeling it. This is a team that's playing on borrowed time. If I've always believed in sports, if you have a team who has nothing to lose, now obviously you do. You're in the playoffs. Everyone has a team to lose. But they've been playing with really the last few weeks like, hey, we're probably not going to make it, but let's just go out strong for Big Ben. They're going to rally around Big Ben. They're going to play well. There's going to be a lot of terrible towels as well. I mean, a lot of these games outside of the maybe Philly-Tampa Bay one, there's going to be a lot of opponent fans in the stadium. And usually that's always the case in the playoffs and NFL games. But I think that when you have two franchises like Dallas and San Fran or Kansas City and Pittsburgh, historic franchises, there's going to be a lot of people celebrating and cheering for Big Ben. Obviously, if you're not a Kansas City fan, then you're not going to be cheering for them. But I'm taking Pittsburgh to cover 14.5 points. I don't think that's something crazy to say. Because I think 14.5 points, that's two touchdowns. So 28-14, they cover. 31-17, they cover. There's a lot of opportunities for the Steelers to cover, and I do like them to cover. But here's where I'm going on the over-under. I'm taking the under, and I'm going with TJ Watt, 47.5 points. I'm taking the Steelers to really clamp down on the Chiefs. Look, they've seen the Chiefs already. It was only a few weeks ago. TJ Watt is a man who you do not want to face. I mean, there's a couple guys that you're looking at and you're going, okay, don't want to line up against Aaron Donald. Chandler Jones, don't want to line up against him. Maybe Micah Parsons is in that conversation. But number one out of all those, and I'm even putting him ahead of Aaron Donald right now, based on the season he had, TJ Watt is going to be outstanding. I think he at least gets 1.5 sacks. Cam Hayward's going to be a problem. Minkah Fitzpatrick. And look, they're going to have to cover Tyreek Hill down the field and McCole Hardman and Brian Pringle. There's a lot of speed on that team. I saw a really good route on the Saturday, the final game for the Chiefs, where they had McCole Hardman run right, then run all the way back left, then catch a screen pass, and it looked like he was gone. It was one of the last offensive sets for the Kansas City Chiefs. I really think that the Steelers, though, are very well coached. They're very well coached in Kansas City as well, but I think they're well coached enough to keep the game close. I said 31-17. That would be just over it. But if I took 27-13 and took 40 points, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I like the under. It's not my most locked bet of the week, but I do like the under, and that's why I went with the under. And look, we're NFL fans. You like to see points, but I think there's going to be some defensive battles this week, and I think in Buffalo we'll see one, and I think in Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is going to have to step up. Look, Najee Harris, if he has a game, he's the only running back to come out with that many touches and not fumble the ball. Maybe that was a jinx. Maybe, he fumbles it. Maybe, it's his first time all year that he fumbles it. I could see Chris Collinsworth going, and he hasn't fumbled it all year long until tonight. But I honestly think the Chiefs defense is going to have to make some plays. It's not just going to be the offense blowing the Steelers out. Steelers are going to keep it close. I don't think they win, but I think they cover the 14. And again, I will take the under of 47.5 because I don't think that Pittsburgh can score that many points, and I think that they do keep it close. And then finally, the final game of the wildcard weekend, we got a Monday night game. Now, I hope the Mannings are doing the Manning cast because that would be a fantastic game. You got Matt Stafford against Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray earlier in the year, he was able to knock off the Rams. It wasn't until the Rams went to Arizona and with half their team decimated from COVID, were able to win by a score of 30-23. But earlier in the year, week 3, they lose 37-20. So who am I going with? It's in LA, where the Cardinals looked good early in the year. Jalen Ramsey, all these guys, D-Hop. I'm taking the Rams minus 2.5. Look, Cooper Kupp had one of the years of all years. And it's funny to think that Matt Stafford, who was at the center of Calvin Johnson's historic career year, was also at the center of Cooper Kupp. 1,947 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns, just an absolute playmaker. And if you watch the game against the 49ers, you saw Joe and Troy talk about what he does on the field that's not catching the ball. He's a great run blocker, and that's huge. You've got Cam Akers, Sony Michel. I don't know how well that run game is going to work, but I'm taking the Rams 2.5. Look, this one was a tough one for me. I really went, D-Hop's going to come back, I'm pretty sure. J.J. Watt is going to be playing. There's a lot of really good storylines going into this game, but I'm going to go with the better coach, and I think Sean McVay will outcoach Cliff Kingsbury. They both have solid kickers. Defensively, they're both solid. Again, Aaron Donald, he'll take over anyone. Really put his fingerprints on the second matchup of the two. So this is the second of the 6 games where you're going to have part 3, another division matchup. It was the AFC East with Buffalo and New England, and now you're going to have the Rams against the Cardinals and NFC West part 3, and I really like Cooper Kupp to have a great day. I mean, no one's been able to stop him. They're going to have to game plan around him. If I was the Cardinals, I'd say, look, let's focus in on Cooper Kupp. If we get beat by Odell Beckham and Tyler Higbee and Van Jefferson, so be it. That being said, I don't think anyone's been able to really contain Cooper Kupp. Now, the question here is how well Kyler Murray will play and how well Matt Stafford will play. And that's why I went with the under 50. I think Stafford, in the last few weeks, he's had some big problems. Look, the last game against San Fran, he threw an interception, and that was, the end of that game, which now has forced them to face the Arizona Cardinals. 2 interceptions against the 49ers. He's battling a toe injury. The last few weeks for Matt Stafford, 2 interceptions against San Fran, 2 interceptions against Baltimore, 3 against Minnie, 1 against Seattle. And then, he's been throwing the ball really just not into good places. And I don't know if he's trying to force things. I don't know if he's really trying to make, problems or stuff like that. Kyler Murray, again, he's a little bit more secure with the ball, but I don't think that the Rams defense, who the last time these two teams faced, Kyler Murray was healthy. Aaron Donald was healthy. Kyler Murray threw 2 interceptions, threw for 383 yards. But again, they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. Will Hopkins play? I guess we'll find out. It's a game-time decision. That being said, I think that the Rams, defensively, they're one of the best units. I mean, you looked at that first half against 49ers and you're thinking to yourself, wow, they are dominating. They look so scary, and they kind of falter in the second half. I think they get rallied around that. They take that as a chip on their shoulder, and they say, hey, you know what? We've seen this team twice. We know what they're going to do on tape. We're going to contain Kyler on the outside. If we get beat by James Conner in the middle, that's fine. But I think Aaron Donald, going to really contain that in the middle. Let's focus on shutting down Kyler Murray and making sure that he's not running around and making more time for his receivers like Christian Kirk and AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins, and probably their secret weapon, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Zach Ertz, who's been fantastic for them since he came from Philadelphia. So those are my picks. Here's a quick recap of them. I'm taking the Bengals minus 5.5 and the over of 48 to start the Saturday, 4:30. Then Saturday night, I'm taking Buffalo in the cold at home minus 2.5, under 45. Then starting Sunday, I got Tampa Bay minus 7. Look, right now you can get them at minus 7. I've seen them at minus 8.5 earlier. They might go up over 45.5 in that one. Dallas money line, I just couldn't do a spread on that one. It's going to come down right to the end, over 50.5. Expect a lot of points in that one. And then you got Pittsburgh plus 14.5. They're going to lose to the Chiefs, but they're going to cover 14.5, and they're also going to go under 47.5. So that's my Sunday night. And then Monday night, I got the Rams minus 2.5, under 50 with the Cardinals. Those are my opportunistic bets. Those are my Sam's 6 slamming picks for Wild Card Weekend. Let's go. This is where men, or boys become men, I should say. This is where you get put down in the history books. This is where it comes down, not just for the NFL players, but for your bets. Let's get it going. Have a great football weekend. And look, we'll see what happens. We'll see where the cards may fall. But this is going to be an epic week of football, and I'm very excited. And I hope you enjoy the bets, and I'll see you next week.